What is going on, everybody? It's Dr. Chris Featherstone for yet another episode of Unscripted. Listen, it's Tuesday nights. You know what that means. I have some of the biggest, the baddest, the best wrestlers of today and yesteryear. And tonight is no different. Why is tonight no different? Because we have a former WWE, WWF, whatever you want to call it, women's champion, and is a member of a family lineage. It was interesting because a lot of people know I've been a wrestling fan since about 1986, probably 1980. I would say safely 86, maybe even 85, but safely 86. And I remember back in the day when Fabulous Moolah and Sherry Martel, Sensational Sherry, they were some of the biggest heels in the WWE, and I hated the bad guys and the bad gals because I was a good boy and still am. I wasn't for a long time in my life, but I am again, thank God. But I was a wholesome boy back in the day, and I liked the heroes. Didn't like the villains, and you had Sensational Sherry and Fabulous Moolah. And when Sherry Martel had the title, I wanted her to lose it. And this person was able to break over a year streak that Sherry Martel had the title. And I remember I was so happy when this person broke that long streak of Sherry Martel having the championship. And so since then, that was in the late 80s. Since then, I've been a fan ever since. So that was about 35 years ago. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, former WWE Women's Champion and the sister of Jake the Snake Roberts. How about that? And Sam Houston. Let's not forget Sam Houston, ladies and gentlemen. Rockin Robin, how are you tonight?
Hey, I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing well, doing well. Yeah, so I was happy. I remember Sherry Martel having that title for a long time, Sensational Sherry, and I was like, man, somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to break this streak from her having that title because it seemed like she was unstoppable for a while, and
She was.
you were the chosen one. You were the chosen one. Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd that go?
She I guess, I mean, she had the title for a while, and she was probably at that time, I think after Wendy, kind of the only one. I mean, there were very few women working at that time,
Yeah.
and very few people I think knew who all of a sudden I just appeared.
Mhm.
What was really funny about it was Moolah. I had known Moolah since I was a baby,
Mm.
because my father used to book her down in Mid South in some of the shows in Mid South. So Moolah literally held me when I was a baby.
Wow.
Well, when I got to the WWF, she had no idea who I was. Had
Mm.
I mean, not a, her and my mother were pretty good friends as well, and didn't even know that was me. And she wasn't. I mean, I have to say she wasn't very happy about it either. So.
Why not?
Well, because I was actually one of the first girls that didn't go through her.
Ah.
And if you didn't go through Moolah, um, well, on Moolah's side of it, so she didn't collect any fees, or
Mm.
she didn't get any money if you weren't in her stable.
Right.
So I kind of rocked the boat. Well, not kind of. I really rocked the boat by not going through it. But at that time, I refused to do it. I was even told, well, you've got to go see Moolah and kind of get the okay, get the blessing. And I said no. I said if I have to do that, I'm going to stop now. And really, the reason was pretty simple. I wanted to change the perception, I think, of the women's wrestling. Instead of it being a women, being a popcorn match, as they call it, so women come on, people go out to get their popcorn, right?
Yep. Yep.
Uh, and, I didn't want to be just the novelty match. I wanted to try to have matches just, you know, as exciting or work to something, as the guys.
Yep.
And not just matches of monkey flips and hair pulls, and to actually show some character and show some ability in there.
Mhm.
Not that they didn't have that, but again, just kind of wanted to change things a little bit.
Mm.
And I know Moolah wasn't about to you know do a lot of changing, because she was in a pretty good spot at that point.
Mm.
But so from where she sat, I'm in the WWF now, so I'm taking a spot from one of her girls. And so one of her girls aren't being paid and she's not being paid. So the word was to get me out of there as quick as possible.
Mm.
And so I had a bit of a rough start, but it finally, everybody settled down, and I finally was able to do what I needed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why was it that Vince wanted to? I mean, the women's division just kind of dissolved. If I remember, in the early '90s, you were the last champion before Medusa picked it back up a
Right.
few years later.
Right.
And what
Yeah.
was it that caused it to dissolve?
Well, it just, it goes back to a little bit of what I was just talking about. There really was no women's division,
Hmm.
or there were never any real plans for women. It was like, if you remember the midgets matches.
Hmm.
I mean, everybody loved them, absolutely loved them. I mean, crowd would go crazy when they would come running out.
Hmm.
And same with the women. We get the whistles and the and the cat calls and what have you. And it was just something different. So we were still considered a novelty match, I
Hmm.
think. And I think that's largely the way they looked at it. Plus, back at that time, again, there just weren't a lot of women working.
Hmm.
Um,
Especially apart from Moolah, right?
yeah, nobody,
Right.
nobody.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it just never just went very far. We never had the storylines. We were never given really any kind of as far as women's matches. But you had your Miss Elizabeth. You had you had some spots for women, but the women's matches, no, just not a lot. Never a lot going on.
Yeah, and that's weird too because it was such a boom period right beforehand because the Cyndi Lauper, Wendy
Yeah.
Richter, War to Settle the Score, the MTV collaboration that launched. It was a huge launching point toward the first WrestleMania back in '85. So it was a really, really boom period with Albano and Lauper
Oh yeah.
really causing that type of
But yeah, the rock and
exposure.
roll, yeah,
Yeah,
rock and
rock
roll
and wrestling.
wrestling and all
Yep.
that. I know. I mean, going in, I was so excited. I thought that hopefully it would continue, it would pick up, but no, it just
Kind of
it
fizzled out.
kind of fizzled right on out. I
Mm.
remember Jake, who you've already mentioned, is he's a brother of mine, and I say that because nobody knows that guy, nobody knows who he is, so I
You said
try to,
Jake who?
yeah, exactly. And we told him that was going to be a bad idea, Jake and the snake and the whole thing, but it worked out okay for him, I think.
Yeah, a little
But
bit.
Jake called me twice, I think, the whole time I was in working in and he was in it at the same time, and he called me two times. Once was to say congratulations, you're going to Paris, France for the title shot,
Mhm.
and then the second time was congratulations, you've just killed women's wrestling. So,
Really?
yeah, when
Why do
he
you say
found
that?
out, well, just when he found out they were just kind of dropping the women altogether,
Oh,
they just weren't going to have. And we had, I think we had hit every town, for probably 2 years. We had
mhm,
hit every city, every arena, two and three times. Sherry and I,
mhm,
and then I went around, made a run with Judy Martin, and so then after that, it just stopped.
mhm. Yeah,
So
yeah. It's
never
interesting because
know.
I remember I say '86, but the first WrestleMania was '85, and I remember watching that when I was a little kid. So yeah, yeah, it's interesting. It was like I said, it was just such a boom period at that time, and yeah,
Yeah, it was
unfortunate.
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you want to do a lightning round and get some of these questions out the way. Before that, I want you to plug some Power Town wrestling.
Power Town. Yeah, it's exciting. I don't know how long it's been now, a few months back,
Mhm,
quite a few months back. I received a call from a group that that I some of them I know very well and admire very, very, very much. And so they have Power Town Wrestling, and they got in touch with a lot of the older uh, old or
Wiser, I'll just say
yeah, back in the day, a lot of the older wrestlers, and had decided to try to put together something that would kind of bring bring some of the old OGs, I guess,
Mhm,
of
mhm,
wrestling, um, and and even help the families of the ones that have passed. And I mean, what a fabulous idea! So they're actually, it's about 200 people, I think, that they have that they're going to be making the dolls or
mhm,
action figures,
mhm.
and have video games planned, and a lot of different things to help support and promote some of your older people that I guess got your grandma and grandpa involved in wrestling.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I mean, it's an incredible thing. But what and it makes so much sense too, because one thing about it is wrestling fans are incredible and incredibly loyal.
Mhm.
If you're a wrestling fan, it seems like even from little kids go all the way back and want to know about some of the older ones, and
Mhm.
some from the past. And so I think this is just going to be so fabulous for everybody.
Yeah.
um,
Well, I
you know
mean, the thing is, Robin, nostalgia never runs dry, right? I mean, it's one of those. It's collectibles, baseball cards, comic books, action figures. It's the same concept. It's a well that doesn't run dry. People don't get tired of nostalgia, especially when
I
it
was
comes to
just,
the collector.
yep.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just going to say the nostalgia of it
Mhm.
is so great,
Yeah.
and I can't wait to see. Uh, actually, so Jake, well, actually, no, Jake's not in this group, but I mean, he obviously has action figures, dolls, and all. But back in the '80s, Jake and Sam and myself all had the same mullet, so I can't wait to see how that's gonna turn out.
Y'all had a
We gotta
mean
have a
mullet.
fabulous mullet on that doll. Give me
Especially
my
Sam.
mullet back.
Sam had a mean mullet,
We
man.
all did. If we were if I kid you not, if we were sitting in a car or sitting side by side from the back, you wouldn't be able to tell who was who.
Hey, I remember that WrestleMania 5, dude. I
Yeah.
remember that America the Beautiful, dude.
Oh God. I can. That's the bad thing is some of your worst moments just never go away. But what you gonna
Yes.
do?
The good
You
old America
know.
the Beautiful. I'm sure somebody has asked a question about that. So it's
Yeah,
been
once or twice, right?
yeah.
Once or
let's spend,
twice.
let's spend about 10 minutes. Let's zipping through these questions. Let's start with Burrito. Greetings, Rockin Robin. What do you think was the toughest thing about wrestling for Vince McMahon? And could you tell us three wrestlers from nowadays you would have loved to work with back in the day? If you don't know many wrestlers nowadays, that's fine. If you have wrestlers in mind, that's fine too.
So I guess if I understand the question, what do you think was the toughest thing about wrestling for Vince McMahon?
Mhm.
I'm not sure. The
I
tough.
guess, was it difficult to work for him? Was it easy to work
Oh,
for him?
for me.
Mhm,
Okay. I was thinking it was what was tough for Vince.
mhm,
Yeah, I really I had very little interaction with
mm,
him, with Mr. McMahon, and so um, I just don't have a lot to. I probably had a little tougher time with Moolah
mhm.
than Mr. McMahon. Um,
Was she allowed the point of contact at that time with the women's wrestlers?
no, no, at that point, and again, I think that's what brought the heat on me quite a bit because they when I came in, then they no longer kind of went through her. That was at about the same point they really kind of broke from Mula.
Mm,
So,
mm.
yeah. uh,
Who
but
did you interact with a lot?
mostly the agents, like either Pat Patterson, um, uh, oh gosh, I, you know, and I want to throw the names out there, but right now, Blackjack Mulligan was
Ah,
one. Uh, uh, Golly,
was
I
Pritchard
saw
there
a
at the
little.
time?
Was that?
Was Pritchard there at the time? Bruce Pritchard, or he's
Yeah.
he was there? Yeah.
Bruce. Yep.
Mhm.
Bruce was there. Um, and I'll probably in about 10 minutes I'll probably think of a
Yeah, just
few
throw it.
more.
Yeah,
The
well,
names
I'm
will
sure a bunch.
the names will come. But they used to really, literally, they would just open the door. They would, knock on our dressing room door. They would open it up and they would just say, "All right, girls, 20-minute Broadway.
Mm,
That's it.
yeah.
Uh, that's all we. That's all we got."
Yeah.
And so we'd go from there,
Mm,
and we'd probably do 25 or 30 because
mhm.
that was all all that we really were told. We really weren't given much instruction other than that,
Wow.
truthfully.
Hmm.
Um, but who was it? I think it might have been Pat Patterson one night had knocked on the door and yelled at Sherry and said, "Sherry, your ride is here," threw this broom in and said, "Sherry, your ride is here." and and uh, needlessly, she exploded and everybody just went running.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow. Was it
when
like a
Sherry.
Wicked Witch of the West
Yeah,
reference?
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that was the reference. Yeah, yeah,
Interesting.
yeah,
Yikes. Well,
yeah.
all right. Here we had a couple. So one with I knew that there was coming. Why were you selected to sing "America the Beautiful"?
I to this day I haven't the slightest idea, and if I knew whose idea that was, I would probably they would they'd probably get smacked, across the face. I mean, ultimately, it's my bad. I but that was one time when Mr. McMahon actually called me on the phone and asked me to do it. And the only thing I can think of is that there were times that after the show, after we wrestled, if we were at a hotel that had the bar and a band and what, I very often would get up and sing with the band. But we're talking about bluesy songs or blues, rock and roll, whatever. But and a few drinks. That always, that usually gets anybody.
Boost you up a little bit.
Yeah. And but I used to do a good bit of musical theater before wrestling, and so, but there's a big difference in singing in a character, and usually a funny part, but usually singing it on stage as as some kind of a character actor, and then standing in the ring singing a serious version, America the Beautiful, in front of 40 million people or so. But
were you nervous? Because I remember there was the instrumental cue. I believe it was Gina Okerlund that introduced you, and then it was the instrumental cue, and then it just kept going, and then it went over to Vince and Jesse Ventura,
and
then they said
it's
technical difficulties, and then you came back.
Well, I'll tell you what happened, and it's upsetting. It was never explained, but honestly, I'm glad that they just like shut it off and didn't talk about it anymore. But all right, so I'm in the ring and I was waiting on the music to come on, and so I'm standing there and nothing's happening, and I mean, it was dead quiet this was in Trump Plaza, in Atlantic City. So I'm waiting and I'm waiting. Well, the music came on, right, on TV and all over the world, but it wasn't playing in the arena. So nobody in the arena could hear it. And so somebody finally, I guess, stuck their head out to the arena and said, "Oh my God, the music's not playing out there. That's why she's not singing." And so that they cut away and they came back. But when they came back, also the music was like an octave lower than what we had, than what I had, the tape I had been playing for months. And so I was like, right before I knew, I said, this is going to be bad. This is just gonna, and I was hoping I could like crawl under the ring, but
I think you recovered well. You sounded nervous in the front end of it, but toward the end of it, you landed the plane and it landed, and you sounded more confident toward the end, though.
Yeah, I think, those are those life things. If you could go back, and like I said, I don't know whose bright idea it was, but it's all I can say. You get what you pay for.
Hey, maybe
maybe
you can come back and sing "America the Beautiful" for an upcoming WrestleMania Redeemers.
No, I think no. I think I'll leave that alone. Yeah, I'll leave. I'm not looking for redemption anymore. I'm just hoping people have forgotten. By the way, I'll apologize right now to you. Have I was told you have about 3.5 million viewers. And I mean, congratulations. That's wonderful. And I'll apologize to anybody who had to sit through that. I apologize to you now. I wish you could get you 3 minutes or whatever, but just know that you had to sit through it for 3 minutes. I've had to live with it for 35 or
Oh
years
yeah,
or
yeah,
so.
that's true. Good point there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
I personally, I remember it's and I don't think it was a big of a deal, honestly. I mean, it's something. It's people try to. I'm a psychology doctor, so people
okay.
try to attach memories with people. I mean, because we our minds tend to forget a lot, and so we attach. We have that photographic type of memory,
Hmm.
and so it's like when we think of Rockin' Robin, we think of Sherry Martell and we think of America the Beautiful. You know what I
Okay.
mean? It's like when I think of my cousin Tim, I think of, I think of McDonald's back in 1993 when he, sang, Rockin' Robin song. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like, I mean, it's like the correlation there. So
yeah.
it's, and so at the end of the day, your career as a champion in WWE far it pales in comparison. That America the Beautiful,
I
moment
certainly,
for whatever it was.
I certainly hope. Yeah, I certainly hope you know, that's not my legacy.
No,
How and Powertown has promised me that the doll is not going to be in a dress with a microphone.
patriotic
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
American flag, and
yeah.
you
Right,
guard the American flag.
right. Let it die. Just let it die.
Yes, indeed.
Uh, but but hey, we all have our things, right? We all have
Yeah,
our stuff we go through. Mine was just in front of, like I said, 40 million people.
yeah, yeah.
That's
Hey,
tough luck.
true, but at the same time, like I said, it's a life lesson of learning how to recover from moments like that. So I
Yeah.
think we
Well,
covered.
it blows my mind because they literally could have had anyone they wanted. I mean,
Yeah, they've
Gladys
had
Knight.
Aretha Franklin, and they've
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
Gladys Knight. I
yeah,
mean,
Gladys
it's
Knight,
like
yeah.
I don't know who made that decision, but that's got to be one of the world's worst decisions as well. Gladys Knight, Rockin' Robin. Man, they didn't think that one through.
Hey, that's a tough comparison, though.
But
All
I've
right,
seen Gladys Knight quite a few times in concert. I don't know if you have, but
I
man,
have not. I have not.
if
No.
you ever get that chance, don't miss it. She is amazing. She literally leaves you in tears
Wow.
at the end. It's just
Phenomenal singer for sure.
oh,
Yeah.
incredible, and just the love and the heart that comes out of her is just
Mhm.
unbelievable.
Nice.
Yep.
All right, 3-minute lightning round. Let's zoom through these questions. Aaron, what was it like competing at the first Survivor Series, which I believe you were on Mula's team, weren't you?
Uh, I don't know. Was she heel or baby in that one? I'm not really sure. To
I
tell
think
you the
you're on
truth.
Mula's team.
All I know is we actually all laughed afterwards because it took Mula. She I don't, and I'm not ragging on Mula. I gotta say, I mean, she was incredible in her career and the things that she did, but it took her because she went out pretty early, I think, in that Survivor Series, and it took her like 10 minutes to roll out of the ring, and she didn't want to leave. But the as far as being in that was actually, I think that was my first match with WWF,
Mhm.
and I think you know I had a great talk with One Man Gang um, one afternoon, and I'm very very good friends with his wife and now him, and we both agreed that at that time I don't think I know for me I really didn't realize how big that was,
Mhm.
and what these things meant, Survivor Series, and because until I started wrestling there, I really didn't watch it.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, I knew all about wrestling from growing up in it, but um, so I didn't realize the magnitude of a show like that.
Mhm.
But it was, I mean, it was a definite experience.
Yeah. Let's see. Mundo is asking, what do you think of the current women's division, AEW and WWE?
Um, I, I think it's incredible. I'm so glad that they have a division. I'm
Hmm.
so glad that they are really utilizing the women and showcasing the women.
Hmm.
And and I have to say, I mean, just the athletics alone are unbelievable.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that it went through that phase of uh, no better way to say it, TNA. It went through a TNA phase, and then for a while, and I'm glad it got away from that and back to kind of some serious business.
Yeah. Yeah. Elvis is saying happy late birthday.
Oh, thank you,
Nice.
Elvis. Huh? Thank
Elvis
you, Elvis.
is in the building. You know, thank him
Elvis.
so much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
appreciate that.
AJ's asking, did you watch and we'll do a couple more questions after this quickly. Did you watch The Dark Side after being a part of it?
Yeah. hmm
What'd you think?
I thought that I thought that they handled and put that story together very well.
Mm.
Um,
Very deep
it
story.
was it was a um, it was a tough episode,
Yeah.
and I think they knew that it was going to be kind of a touchy thing, but no, I thought it was handled with a lot of respect, and I know I appreciated it very much, and I think I think Jake and Sam and Richard,
Mhm.
um, my other brother, um, that I think they agree that it was one reason that I decided to go ahead and be a part of it and do the show
Mhm.
was I had seen some of the other shows that they did, and just how respectful they really could go on there, they could have gone on there and made people not look like in such a good light,
Yeah.
but you could tell just the respect and the care that went into their storytelling.
Mhm.
And so um, that's what made me go ahead and want to do it.
Yeah.
So
I enjoyed the production of it. The story was unfortunate, but the
yeah,
production was really good, and it made it made the viewer very sympathetic toward you, and so that's what I appreciated about the production of it. I know that there's hours and hours of footage and editing. I'm a very
yeah.
novice editor, so you know they're leaps
There's
and bounds better than I am. And the little novice amount of editing I know, I imagine that there was a lot of footage there that they put together, and they have that type of power, what I mean, to edit the way that they want to. And I think they did a pretty good job from
they did a great job because all the things you just said it, and all of the things that you didn't see and that were not in there. I mean, that would have taken a 6 hour
yeah,
show.
exactly.
But going into it, I'm glad you brought that up. But going into it, I asked them, please, to not. I don't want to come off as a victim. That was important to me.
Hmm.
That you can you can overcome, you can
Hmm.
get through it, and you can go on and do whatever you want to do with
Yep.
your life.
Yep.
And one of the things that I don't remember if it made it in the show or not, but I was explaining at one point that I think the biggest thing that helped me was to um, break that association with in my head with, right, this is my father, right? So this is my father who did this, or is this person, and fathers, of course, should not do that,
Hmm.
right? And at some point in my life, I looked at it a little bit. I started to look at it differently. I said, this. I looked at him as a human being, a very flawed human being,
Hmm.
right? That happens to be my father.
Hmm.
And just by doing that, it for me, I guess, took away that, um, again, that this is your father doing this. But yeah, it's also a human being that
Hmm.
has a, um, I don't know what you want to, I don't know what to even call it, but a, much more than a flaw. I mean, this is a bad, trait, desire, whatever you
Hmm.
want to call it.
Hmm.
But that you know this is a human being with this problem. This is not, that this is not me, but
Yeah.
it just happens to be our father.
Yeah. More of
And
a more of a pathology type of deal.
yeah, so, um, but you can go on to do everything you want to do,
Yeah.
everything put your mind to.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. I saw that in that, and I appreciate them doing that because it was empowering. It was empowering to hear that from you, based on all the things that you did go through, and what how the story was developed throughout the series, throughout the episode. And
mhm,
as a journalist, I study a lot of that stuff, and I didn't know a lot of what was going on, but I think the episode really brought a lot of it to light because it did bring it. It brought it to life from more of a visual standpoint.
mhm,
That really helped a lot of people retain and really see it. You know what I mean, for themselves. And I think they really made you feel empowered. You had a message to send to people in this particular situation. You don't have to be the victim. You can be victorious throughout it. And I appreciate you. I appreciate you saying that. I appreciate them displaying that with the editing as well. So,
yeah,
uh, yeah.
thank you, yeah, yeah.
Let them know one more time about Power Town Wrestling.
Howard Town. We have. I've heard that we have the next, run of, action figures. I guess is what I should call it.
Mhm. Collectibles, action figures.
Collectible OGs.
There you go.
All
I like
right.
it. Sounds like a
Collect.
t-shirt.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, I heard that they're actually going to put, um, me and Medusa,
Ooh.
together. So we're going to be a package deal, which is fun because, Medusa and I actually only worked, against each other one time ever, which is kind of crazy.
Mm.
But so, that'll be, Medusa and I, and, Rock and Roll Express
Ooh,
will be coming out.
very
Wahoo
nice.
McDaniel, and then they just said another big surprise.
Mm.
So
Go
that'll
to
be
powertimewrestling.com to see these and support them and also see the big surprise. Robin, it's been a pleasure. I
same
love
here.
talking to people like you with all your expertise and just your wrestling knowledge and just your wisdom. You're such a gem to the
Aw.
business,
And my
35
don't
years
and
old.
my singing voice, man. Don't forget that.
Hey, listen. Hey, Gladys Knights, eat your heart
Gladys.
out.
I love Gladys. I actually did. I don't know if you're familiar with. She's the, we call her. We refer to her as the Soul Queen of New Orleans. Right? Is, Irma Thomas.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
And, you've heard of Irma
Hmm.
Thomas.
Hmm.
And, I actually sang with Irma Thomas one night, many years ago. And, I'm sure she doesn't know it. uh, but, it was a definite highlight.
Nice,
Uh, but, if you got, if like I said, if it's blues or some kind of bluesy thing, I'm on it. But
nice, nice.
yeah,
Need a bluesy America to be.
yeah, right, yeah. I'm gonna have to work on that at
Nice.
home.
There you go.
Yeah,
come, come out
it
with a
won't be in
single, and I
public.
bet you it'll sell pretty high if you.
Yeah, right.
Thanks, Robin. I appreciate you coming on the show tonight.
Thanks, Chris. Good to
All right.
talk to you.
Likewise. Bye bye.
Okay.